Hello again. Hello again. I'm here with Lynn, and she is making sure that I'm staying alert. She said to look bright and speak brightly, and I'm going to try and do that. I've been thinking about what's going on in the world today, and I'm sure you have too. And we see all this stuff on television, and we hear about persecution, and we hear about people dying of drug overdoses, and somehow, if it's not in our next door, then it's then it's all far away. But there is a reality about what's taking place, and it worries me very much because I feel that if we aren't holding on to God, if we aren't having faith in God, then we're going to be in deep trouble very soon now. I don't know how soon. It might be 50 years from now. It might be 5. I don't know. But the fact remains is that the times that we're living in, and I look back over several decades, are much worse than they've ever been before, even though we are much more secure with our electronics, and we're much more modern, and we're much more talented, and we're much more experienced with technology. But where are we with God? That's, I think, my question today. And do we have faith in God? Just tell you a little story. It's in chapter 27 of Deuteronomy. That was a time when God was moving the people of Israel over to Canaan, if you like. And there were two mountains. I'm just going to look at the names of them. One was Mount Gerizim, and the other one was Elim. And you'll find this in that chapter. The point which amazed me, and I can't imagine how we would deal with this today, if God came down and said, I want you to separate. He separated the two tribes, about 6 tribes on one side and 6 tribes on the other side. And he said, this is the mount of blessing, and this is the mount of cursing. Most unusual situation to the way we think. But you have to say to yourself, is God doing that today? Are we going to be blessed, or are we going to be cursed? A little snippet of information which is very interesting to me, and that is that the mount where they were to be blessed, if they did what God told them to do, was beautiful. It had beautiful shrubbery and flowers and trees and plants and everything else. And the other mountain, where the other 6 tribes were warning them if they did something wrong, like adultery and all that sort of stuff, was bare. It was like bare rock. And it kind of symbolizes the difference. It's very hard to trust in God. As Lynn said to me a little while ago, we surround ourselves with stuff in order to feel secure, when what we should be surrounding ourselves with is the Word of God, because that will make us more secure than cars and houses and furniture and all the other stuff that goes with it. So I'd like you to think about where you stand with God. Now, if you don't believe in God, you're probably not watching this program anyway, but I would urge you to get hold of a church and just listen to it. Listen to what they say in there and see if you can identify with some of it. Now, if you do believe in God, then you have to divide yourself up into 2 sections: those who trust in God and those who don't have the faith. The problem is that we tend to turn to God only when we're in trouble, because that's the time then we reach out to something that we think maybe will help us, but that's not the way it's meant to be. And so I'm not going to finish on this segment, so please tune in for the next segment, when we'll talk about what happens next.